Hey everybody, welcome to our, let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is our third Fast and Festive Live. Oof, my air. And welcome back. I know there was a lot of you who joined us yesterday. I know there's a lot of you who caught our replays from yesterday, and a lot of our other A-stars who will be catching the replays this weekend. So this, like I said, project 3 of the 5. We did our blanket, we did our candle yesterday, and now we're going to be doing our stuffies together. So cute, right? So cute. Hi, Libby. She's over there making lots of noise. She's always up here with us. How is everybody today? Thanks for joining me. I know it's a bit of an odd time for some of us. Lots of us are at work. So if you're watching the replay, I suspect a lot of you will be, please still comment. Please still ask questions. Let us know if you need anything. We want to see your projects, okay? All right, so we're going to be making these stuffies. I'm going to go over how I would type out the text in Design Space and all of that good stuff, and then the application process of it. I'm also going to go over supplies first before we dive into that, okay? So let's start there with our supplies. So, of course, you're going to need a fabulous little stuffed animal. Now, these are super desirable and super adorable. I will tell you that they come from a UK website, so they're not going to be prime shipping or something you can go find locally. But, if you want to plan for the future to be able to have something like this, they're by the Mumbles brand. It's Mumbles. Now, if you need to go local to find something quick, go check out Walmart, Target, Dollar Tree, all that good stuff. Got these cuties at Target and they were on sale. So I have cute little guys right here. And squishmallows and all those things can work great. Any stuffed animal that has a fairly smooth surface. You don't want to have a stuffed animal that's got a lot of movement to it where there's sort of like a shag or fluff or something like that, because then the vinyl's not going to stick well, the iron-on vinyl. So just be mindful of that, okay? So you're also going to want to have, of course, iron-on vinyl. You can use an everyday iron-on. You could use a metallic or a holographic. You could also use a smart iron-on. A glitter iron-on works. That's what I did for this one. I actually mixed an everyday iron-on and a glitter. I will tell you that if you do the glitter, make sure you're only doing it with the larger ones. This one was a bit of a pain when I weeded it. It kind of it turned out okay in the end, but the finite nature with glitter iron-on, not always the best result. So if you're going smaller or something like that, just maybe err on the side of the everyday iron-on or try and scale it up if you can. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of. Of course, you're going to need your cutting machine, any cutting machine that cuts vinyl. So the Joy models, the Explorer, the Makers, those will all work. Need a weeding tool to weed your vinyl. I'm going to be using a standard grip green mat for this, and also we're going to be using Smart Iron-On for one of us too, so you don't have to have a mat for Smart Iron-On. A lint roller can be helpful, although I've done it without it, so if you don't have it, don't worry. And probably going to want to have a measuring tape just to measure your surface, so you get an idea of what's going to fit for wherever you're going to place your vinyl, okay? Because you want to know that for scaling in Design Space. So those are the main tools you're going to need to have and supplies. I do like to have a brayer tool on hand to be able to press my vinyl material to the mat. So you'll see me use that as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. What you do? My husband's over here moderating, and he's starts crawling across the floor. What is going on? Is something wrong? He's I need a charger. My computer's going to die. That's okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll just show you how I would set something like this up. Now, this is highly customized, right? So making these personalized stuffies, you can put a person's name, or you can just put something sweet, like a sweet message or something like that. So there's going to be parts of this where you're going to want to choose a font. You're going to want to decide what the person's name is that's going to be on it, the personalized detail, if you're doing that. If you're not, then disregard that part and just type whatever you want and put a sweet message on it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen now. Command S. No, sorry. Hang on. Oh, thanks. Are you sure that's the right year? Okay.
Birth picture.
Oh, birth picture. Okay, it wasn't a memory.
Nope.
Okay, my husband's trying to tell me the birth year of my other niece, is she 5 now or is she 6? I can't even remember. She'll be 6 next year. So we welcomed Ava this year. that's this one. And so I'm like, maybe I should try to do the other niece's name, even though she's like, you know, going to be 6 next year, to have for each sister to have one. So I think I will try and do that. Thank you for getting that information. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Oops, that's not the right button. Okay. All right, hopping over to Design Space here. Let me know if you can see my screen okay. I'll put it over there. Okay. So you're going to want to type out your message, but for our A-stars that are watching this and you want to go and grab some of my like pre-made words, you'll see in the vault when you log in. Let me go over here. If you go over to collections and then you click on our Fast and Festive 5 series, go ahead and click on this little guy here, and you're going to see this First Christmas SVG. It's really popular to do these for like a first Christmas thing. So I went ahead and created some text for you guys to use as an SVG, just ready to go. So you don't even have to do that if you want to. Now under the printables, and these are not printables, it's something we have to fix in our system, but under the printables, there is 3 font files there. So if you would like to use the fonts that I am using here, these are our own fonts that we have started adding, and hopefully we'll be adding a lot more fonts for members in the future because it's something we want to expand into. Like fonts are so fun, right? So these are our first 3 fonts ever. And they currently are living under this little printables tab, even though they're not printables. If you've never installed a font before, you can find a link to that. I'm going to have my husband drop it in the chat for you right now. And I'll also make sure it's back in the video description when I wrap this up later. But I have a whole post on that that'll show you how to install your own font. Super easy, step by step. So don't worry if you haven't done it before. Okay, so that's where you can look for that in case you're wondering. Now, if you do want to just use the file that I provide, obviously I don't know your recipient's name, but there's this one here. This is my SVG. Got a little preview here. I use Inkscape. Yours might appear as a Chrome browser icon, like Edge icon, Firefox. That's very normal. Just look for the name of the file. And I'm going to drag it over here. Okay. This is just the upload process if you want to do this. So I had like a baby's first Christmas and then just first Christmas that you can pair with like someone's name and a year if you want. So I'm going to click continue at the bottom and upload it. And it's going to drop in here just like that. Okay. All right. Oops. Sorry. Let me do that. All right. So now here's the part where you decide, am I typing something out? Am I adding personalization to the existing file? That is your call. I am going to right click on this to ungroup it because we have the words first Christmas and then we have baby's first Christmas as well. And then you can see some of my examples over here, which is from this file here where I did that. So how would we type out text? If you've never typed out text before, let's go ahead and I will show you that now. Let's assume I want to use this one, the first Christmas, and I want to type out a person's name. Okay. So over on your left-hand side, that is the design panel. Look for the text tool. And you're going to click on that and it's going to drop some text on your screen here and it's going to highlight it. Okay. And if you double click in there, that's where you can get your cursor or you can click off and move it around, come to any one of the corners, click, hold and drag to scale up or down. Okay. So if you click off here and you need to get back to your cursor, just double click in there and that'll get you going again. And so I'm just going to type out, we'll do Gwen. That's my other niece's name, Gwendolyn. Such a pretty name. So we have Gwen here. And then I'm also going to just duplicate this. So I'm going to right click and you can hit duplicate. You can use the keyboard shorthand. I'm going to double click inside again to get that cursor back. And I'll put her year, 2019. Okay. Now I want to change the font. So you can use the fonts I showed you in the vault. If you're an A-star, go grab it. Well, you obviously are all A-stars. This is just for A-stars. I'm so used to like doing lives for other people and then lives for A-stars. And then sometimes my language is like, yeah, you said the wrong thing. So for all of my A-stars, you will have access to the fonts here. But if you want to explore other fonts, because there's a world of fonts out there, just click on any one of these and then select the font option at the top left. Okay. And underneath this, you're going to get a bunch of Cricut fonts. If you want to search the free options, go ahead and click on the filter and then you can search free. That way, if you're not a subscriber to this, you can find what's free in here to use and play around with. So that's one option for you. If you follow my tutorial, did you put that link in the, thank you very much. If you follow my tutorial on installing fonts and you've never done that before and you need help, that was dropped into the chat. We'll also put it in the description later on. But you would find those under system right at the top here. Toggle over to system, and then you'll find anything you've installed on your computer. Okay, it's not installed into your account. So if you access it on another device, it's not going to be there. Just want to make sure that's super clear. So it's installed on your computer, and then it's picking up the system fonts in Design Space. So I'm going to use my cursive font here, which is available for you A-stars. And that's what that looks like when we change it. I'm going to also change this one here. And if you want it to match like this font that's right here, when you click on this, that one is the Abby Kirsten Duo 1. Okay, so that font matches that one if you want that. We could also do, I wonder how that one would look. That's sort of cute. I'm going to play with it. I'm going to play with it. The G is though, like it's kind of like dipping down. So I wonder if I should offset it a little bit. Might do that. We'll see. Now you want to think about your placement and your scale. So I'm going to scale this up a little because I kind of want the name to be a little more front and centered. Maybe I'm not going to use Gwen's name because it's like, but then other people have names with G's, right? So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? Okay. So in this case, I would probably like, it drives me nuts because you can't do this. You could slice it out if you wanted to like get rid of that. I suppose you could do that. So that's an option, but I don't like necessarily want it offset. So I'm going to position it like that just for a moment. Try not to let it drive you crazy, like it's driving me crazy. And I'm going to scale this down a bit. Oops. If that happens, if that happens to you, it means you pulled at one of these lines like this and you're doing text wrapping. So if that's like happening to you, just hit the undo button at the top or Command or Control Z to undo. So I'm going to scale that down just a little bit. Okay, I kind of want these to match though. I'm thinking I'll go back to the cursive because I kind of want them to match since they're sisters. We'll see what happens there. Okay. All right, so I think that's good. I'm going to go with that for the time being. Now, if you need to thicken a font at all, one thing you can do is add like offset to it. I didn't thicken it with this font. I think it'll be okay, but I certainly wouldn't get too script heavy on this. So if you did want to thicken this, you could come up to like the offset tool. That's my easy press. And you could put like a little thin offset around it, like 0.1. That's even too much. I'd probably do like 0. I don't know if it'll let me do this. Actually, I've never tried it before. Let's see what happens. Okay. So if I wanted to like thicken it like that, you could totally do that. Now there's two different things there. There's the original text and then there's the offset. So you would need to unite these together for them to be seamless under the combine function and then click like unite. And now we've thickened it. Almost too thick in my opinion. And for consistency's sake, I'm probably going to go back to what it was, but that's just a fun little hack for you in case you're ever like, I need to thicken the font. It's tearing, you know, when it cuts or something. That's a great way to do that. So I am going to undo that though. And I do want to change these colors that I'm representing here. So I'm going to make them like red and green like the other one. So to change a color just for representation's sake, you can come up to next to the operations tool. There's a little color swatch and just click on any color you want. You can go to advanced and choose any color of the rainbow. I'm going to do that for this as well. And I'm trying to think about this G. What do you think, honey? It's bothering me.
Between the T and the C?
Well, that's what I was going to do and then scale it down a bit, but I don't know if it's going to look centered. And then that's bothering me more than anything. Yeah. And I don't want it to be too tiny because then it'll be too script. Like that sort of works, but I have a feeling it's going to be too tiny. Like, and then it's going to not tear. But we'll see what happens. It's an adventure. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Because everybody's who's got the Y's and the G's in their name, like it can get funky. But you kind of just have to embrace the weirdness of it and be like, that's okay, it's fun. You could slice this off. I feel like I should slice it. I don't know. What do you think? Should I slice it? Mm-hmm. I mean, like slice the G off. So like if you want to slice something, you could totally grab a free shape from the shapes panel and you could like, I'm gonna grab just a square, okay? Just fun extra bonus tips for you guys. Like this is going to look really weird. You could slice this off to where it's blank. You could also could also do this. Let's try this. This was not scripted, y'all. So I'm just going to you're just going to go with my weirdness. Okay.
How about a crazy thought?
Uh-huh.
Slice the line connecting the G and the W, and move the W up higher, and you can move it up just a little bit.
Yeah, no.
It was worth a try.
It was worth a try. I know. I'm super stubborn. Okay, so one thing you can do is you could duplicate this. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that. All I did there was I held Command D on my keyboard, Control if you're on a PC. Okay, and you could slice this apart. I want to see what happens. I just want to see what happens. Okay. That's not exactly what I intended. I think an offset would create more space. So that was an experiment that was we were just playing around there. I'm just going to go with it as is, okay? So I'm just going to go with it. Let's see what happens. We'll play with it. You can totally layer this, by the way. So it's not like this is oh, it's the end of the world. If you want the G just hanging out back there, which actually kind of looks fine, honestly. I feel like that kind of is still okay. How centered does that look to you?
Looks pretty centered to me.
I mean, it looks fairly centered, right? Yeah. Can you guys tell I'm a perfectionist yet? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on now. We're going to go with it. Except instead of saying Gwen, it needs to say Gwen's, which now shifts this again. So that creates a new problem. And why is it changing colors? You see that? That's so strange. That must be a bug they're working out, I'm sure. I'm sure that's a bug they're working out. Okay. All right. So I'm not loving that. I really need a different name. Does anybody think I'm crazy yet?
Yeah, you're there.
I know. I'm so crazy. All right. We're going to go with it. Go with it. Now, what you want to do here, if you're doing I am where there's two colors, okay? And so there's the red on the top and there's the red for the year, right? So I want those to stay where they are. I don't want those to be added on separately. I don't want to have to piece it together. I want the position held. So for that to happen, I am going to use my attach tool. Okay. So I'm going to click on the name. I'll come over here to the layers panel. Let's see. Which one is it? This one, 2019. I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to click on that. So hold my shift key to click on it. Okay. And I'm just going to hit the attach tool at the bottom of the layers panel. And then that way it holds the placement. Okay. All right. So there we go. You can do other things too. You can do you can put the person's name up here, baby's first Christmas and then 2024, or just do baby's first Christmas and then the year and eliminate the name if you're like me and this is driving you crazy. Or choose a different font. That's also an option. I just didn't do that here because I wanted it to match. So that's why I'm doing that. A different font can also solve that problem. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and group this stuff over here and just hide it. And now we need to think about our scaling. This is going to be very specific to each one of you, depending on what stuffy you choose. Okay. So if you're going bigger, which bigger is better. So try to do that if you can. It will make your application process much easier too. So if you're going bigger, you're going to think about measuring the point where you want to center this, okay? If you're going smaller, same thing. But again, just be mindful of how small you're scaling things. Try to make them as big as you can without it being edge to edge. This is the one I did. It worked out pretty well. I had a few challenges, which I have a feeling I'll probably meet as well, which is good because then you guys will learn with me in the moment. So I'm going to grab my measuring tape because I want to measure this real quick. I'm just going to do this here and go to the cut screen. So looking at my little guy here, I'm kind of looking, let's say no more than 3.5 inches across. And I'm not too concerned with the height because I already know that it's longer rather than taller. So it's not a big deal. You have any questions I need to answer that I missed? I'm super absorbed over here and I'm not asking. If you guys have questions, let me know. If you're watching the replay, I know most of you are going to be watching the replay, so please leave your questions, okay? All right, so I'm going to go 3.75. Okay. I'm going to click and drag over that. It's much bigger than it should be. So I'm going to scale down holding the corner. Zoom in here. So I'm going down quite a bit. Okay. So there we go. There's that. And I'm going to click off before I do anything else. I'm actually going to detach this real quick because I want to see what size I'm working with here. So that's pretty tiny. I'm going to actually scale this a little bit bigger because I don't want to have a problem. And I did have a problem the other day. So you might get to witness problem solving in the moment as well. I think we're going to kind of treat that like a layer, and we're actually going to bring this forward. I would, in this case, honestly, highly recommend a different font. I just want them to match for my nieces. So that's why I'm doing it. All right. I think I can live with that. I'm just looking at the scale and kind of making sure it's okay. That was a little bit bigger. Okay. I'm going to click and drag over this. I feel like this is just a bit off. Okay. Click and drag. So 3.76, 2 point. Yeah, I think that will be good. We'll go with that. Okay. I'm going to reattach that real quick there, holding my shift key, hit the attach at the bottom of the layers panel, save your project. Okay. So I'm just going to go up to the top and update my save, or you can save as if you haven't named it yet. And we're going to go ahead and go to the cut screen. Okay. I'm using my Maker 3 model here. You can use a Joy Extra, Explorer model. If you use a different brand other than Cricut, Cuts Vinyl, you're good to go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click make. And we're going to cut, I do have a smart vinyl here, which you can cut the smart vinyl on a mat, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Yeah, I think I should have enough there. So I'm going to cut both ways. I'm going to click multiple ways and hit confirm. And so for this one, my red is going to be the smart iron on measure. What did I do on this one? Oh, you know what? Did I do that right? This is why you double check. I'm double checking something right now. I think I did. So that one's 3 inches. I'm going to go back real quick, guys, because I think I did something. I just realized that the font that I put on this little guy is not the same font I chose for the name, which is why it was driving me so crazy. So it's not the one you're seeing on my screen here. See, it's different. So I'm glad I checked that, because I was like looking at the setup and I was like, wait, I changed it. Okay, let me change it. Okay. Let me change it to the other font. So the other font that I ended up using on the actual Stuffy, not just in theory, I think I just got a little mark on it. I have to get that off. Was the Abbi Kirsten Duo 2. There we go. That was the one I used. And that one actually kind of looks a little better anyways, I think. I'll just put it back behind. Okay. Okie dokie. Pardon the mislaps, y'all. I'm so sorry. Let me reattach that and also hide. No, why did it group itself? Oh, Design Space is being weird. It's an ode to Design Space being weird. It happens. We will survive. All right. From the top. There we go. Update my save. I'm so glad I looked at that, because I was like, wait, that font's not the same. What did I do? I must have changed my mind in the moment and then forgot to save the project, and it defaulted to the other version. That's what happened. Okay, now we can cut it out. All right. Let me just, yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave it alone now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys. Okay, cut multiple ways, confirm. So for this one, why is it separating it out? Oh, because I didn't hide that one. I didn't hide it. Not that, this one. Not that one. What the heck? That one. There we go. There we go. One more time, 3rd time's the charm. Okay, it's still there. I'm gonna ignore it. I'm having a moment. All right, so this one we're gonna cut without a mat, but this one down here, the green one, we're gonna cut on a mat. So I'm gonna change that little drop down to on a mat there, okay? And I'm gonna start back up at the top, and I'm just gonna pay attention to the mats as I go, because I don't need that center one. I'm gonna hit continue. It's gonna connect to my Maker machine, and it's via Bluetooth for me, but you can absolutely use the USB cable that comes with your machine. So we're gonna do that. Macy is growling at all the people outside. She's very antisocial. All right, so I'm gonna toggle over to popular here because I'm using a smart iron-on. This is what I'm using. And they have that smart iron-on glitter option right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on that. It's automatically mirrored it for me, so I don't have to mirror anything, because when you do iron-on vinyl, it has to be shiny side down, which means everything is the reverse, which is why you have to mirror. But it did it automatically for me, okay? So I have that ready to go, and I'll be doing the same thing with the other one, except I'll be selecting everyday iron-on, browse materials, and select everyday iron-on. Obviously, select whatever you're using if you're using a different brand or texture or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen now. And come back over here. Okay. And we're going to load our machine. Okay. So I'm going to use that for the other one, but for this one, it's smart. So I don't need a mat if I don't want it, but you could cut on a mat if you need to. Often I get this problem with the smart iron-on where it's like you cut and then you cut the piece out and then you have these awkward scraps. So like loading this becomes hard, right? Because the rollers won't catch on both sides. So you're either going to need to trim this down and then reload the thing, or trim it down and put it on a mat and then load the mat with the smart iron on it. Either can work. I'm probably just going to trim it down because both sides have been used. So I'm going to grab a pair of scissors real quick. Okay. I'm going to load this piece now without the mat, and this will be a good mat scrap piece for another project. Okay, and so my machine over here is turned on. It's flashing, double arrow flashing buttons telling me it's time to load material or the mat if we were not using a smart iron-on. So I'm going to put this under the guide and just press that double arrow flashing button. It's going to load it, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and prep this. I'll bring you guys down here while it's doing that. We got stuffies and blankets and candles.
Can you adjust the wheels to get it to, oh, never mind. No, you can't adjust those. I was going to say, could you adjust the rollers if you had like the cut piece?
I wish, like, oh, you're saying like if you had the cut piece?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish you could do that. The thing is it grabs, like, you might be able to make it work, but it probably would misalign it. Like, I've sort of tried it before, and it's just not a consistent thing that I would teach to be like, there's a surefire way to make this work. The most surefire way is straight the edge or put the scrap on the mat and use it anyways that way. So good suggestion, but no. I'm going to press the flashing play icon, might be a crooked C icon if you're using a different model, and that's just going to let it proceed with the cut. Okay, and let me make sure I actually selected the right mat. I did. I made that mistake in one of the other lives I did. I was like, oops, I cut the wrong color. I cut the wrong color and we had to do it different and I had to do it again. That's okay. All right, so for an everyday iron-on, so this is like everyday iron-on, you'll see there's like the shiny liner side, just like there is with the smart iron-on. I know that's a little loud. Just like there is with the smart iron-on, there's the shiny side and there's the vinyl side. It's always shiny side down. So if you're loading your machine with the smart material, shiny side down when you load it, okay? Same thing when you're placing it onto a mat, shiny side down. Okay. Is anybody else like terrified when they cut vinyl that like it's gonna like tear and it's not gonna cut right? I'm particularly afraid with that, like with glitter. I love glitter iron-on, but if you cut things that are too small with it, it easily tears. And so like when I was testing this, I got it wrong a few times on the sizing. So let's hope that I didn't get it wrong this time. Otherwise, we'll be cutting it again. Adventures with Abby. That's what we'll call it. All right, so I'm just using my brayer tool there to smooth that material onto the mat. And I'm going to select the everyday iron-on for this. But first, I'm going to unload my cutting machine. Double arrow flashing button. Unload it. Let's see how it did. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think so. I think we're good. Okay. I'll put that aside for just a minute. So we got to cut this. Let me make sure I've got the right mat because I had a stray piece that ended up there. Going down to the right mat, and I'm going to select everyday iron-on. It's already mirroring automatically for me. Everything I showed you before. We're going to load this into our cutting machine under the white guides against the rollers. Press that double arrow flashing button so the mat loads. When you're doing lives, it's like you're multitasking. You're like, alert to what's happening here. Is the mic working? Are you explaining it well enough? Did I select the right mat on the screen? Nobody knows. And so I'm like double checking everything I'm doing. All right. All right. So now that's going to cut. So I'm going to press the play icon, crooked C icon again. And while that's cutting, I'm going to be using an Easy Press Mini for this. I may have not said that earlier. I do apologize. I'm going to be using the Easy Press Mini, which is what I recommend if possible. I am not saying you can't use a full-size press. I'm just saying this is going to be a lot easier because it gets in those smaller areas, especially if you're using a smaller stuffy. So highly recommend it. The good news is these are not nearly as expensive as the other presses. They're a lot more affordable, and you don't even have to get the Cricut brand. There's other good brands out there that are even more affordable than the Cricut one. But I use this more than I use the full one because I love how easy it is to use for like small spaces. So Easy Press Mini, heat safe surface, okay? And I'm going to set this to medium. How did I figure that out? I went to the Cricut heat guide and I selected my corresponding material. So I'm going to share my screen one more time just to show you where that is so that you're not like totally lost. Let's see. Here we go. And then we'll weed it and apply it. Okay. So if you go to cricut.com/EN for English /heat guide, you can also just Google it. You'll be able to select your settings here. So I'm using the Easy Press Mini. That's what I've selected. I'm using an everyday iron-on. I'm also using the glitter iron-on. So I would just double check to see if the settings are similar. They probably are. I usually don't ever change it. So let's try glitter iron-on. The base material. So we're using a stuffed animal, right? Where's my other stuffed animal? Here he is. Okay, so we're using a stuffed animal, right? So it's very soft. Polyester is probably the best option in most cases. There may be exceptions to that. For example, if you have a little stuffy that's covered and you can feel it's like more cottony, more burlap-like, then you're going to want to select that differently. But for something that's traditional and soft like this, polyester, I have found works pretty well. Okay. And if I click apply, it's going to tell me medium setting because on a Easy Press Mini, there's only 3 settings, low, medium, and high. It's going to tell me the medium setting for 25 seconds with firm pressure. And then remove when it is cool. So that gives you that information there. If I change this to the everyday iron-on, not the mesh, just the everyday iron-on, and I select the exact same base. Sorry, my eyes are like, you can see it has the same setting, medium for 25 seconds. There's a lot more flexibility with this one. Okay, so now that you guys know what that looks like, let's go ahead and set this. So press once, twice to get to medium. I'll let it heat up. And we're going to weed, okay? So let me unload this mat. Double arrow flashing button to unload. Okay. I think it got okay. I'm going to flip my mat over here, bring you guys down. Little guy right there. I'm going to flip my mat over and peel mat away from the material. Okay, so let me go back over here. Oh, Carousel's perfect time in making a teddy for my new granddaughter. Oh, congratulations. Don't you just love it when babies are born? Especially when you get to be an auntie or, a grandmother or something who doesn't have to worry about waking up at 3 a.m. My kids are 10 and 11, so we're obviously way past that stage. I gotta turn this down. We're obviously way past that stage. Where is it? Why can't I? There it is. I'm like, where did it go? But
words, big piece of paper.
Say what?
Few words, big space.
I know. I was like, I couldn't. It's like it disappeared within itself. I'm like, where did it go? There it is. But it's funny because my brother and his wife, I had kids very young. They waited till they were older to have kids, and so I have the older kids, even though I'm the younger sibling by over a decade. And they had the younger kids, and so they just welcomed their second, and I get to be auntie and hold the baby and not worry about doing all the hard stuff. I have adolescents staring us in the face, so we've got plenty to look forward to. Plenty to look forward to. All right, so I put these back on the mat just because it helps them flatten out while I'm weeding, right? And I don't really need to weed this into the thing. I could actually probably save the scrap a little bit more. Let me be. See, like it disappeared. Where'd it go? It's there. It's there, right? Nope, that's not the right one. It's this one. Did you guys see that? That's the like, she's crazy. That was my scrap piece. I'm like, no wonder I can't find it. Hey, it's relatable. I'm telling you, there's somebody on here who's like, oh yeah, I've done that. I've laid it down and I can't find where I cut it. And then it's like, oh, it's the wrong piece. I promise you, somebody here has done that. I'm not going cuckoo. I am not. I am selectively intelligent. All right, now that I have bright beads, we're gonna weed. So I grab my weeding tool, okay? Then I'm gonna go to the corner and hold my breath and hope that this weeds correctly. It's for me. I've been doing this for so long, you guys. I still get so nervous at this part. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. And this is the glitter iron-on. So it's like a little more stubborn, I think, when it comes to weeding, just because it's thicker and like you need things to cut just right and all of that. See how like the G is catching a little bit right there. So be careful that you don't tear it. And I'm going to try ever so carefully not to tear it. Ideally, it shouldn't be snagging. My blade is probably a little worn. So I'm being extra cautious here. See, my W is snagging. So it's definitely probably time to either check that the blade doesn't need cleaned off or potentially replace it because it's been a while for me. Or I could up the pressure a little bit, and that might do the trick as well. Okay. Extra careful since it's doing that its thing. This is why I always hold my breath when it comes to the glitter iron-on, because it can be so pretty and so mean at the same time. All right. It's coming. There we go. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. All right. There's that one. And then we got to get the G out there. There we go. Okay, so let's talk Christmas movies. What are y'all's favorite Christmas movies? I want to know what's the one Christmas movie you have to watch every year. Like, no way, no how. You're not going to let the Christmas season go by without watching a Christmas movie. Let me know what yours is. I will tell you, I always have to watch, obviously, Hallmark movies. Like, I have to watch some type of Hallmark movie. Not necessarily one over the other, but I need that escapism and predictability in my life. I always have to watch some Hallmark movies, but I do love, I love Christmas Family Vacation. I'm not going to lie. It's a classic. My kids love Polar Express and Elf. Home Alone. Oh, my son is obsessed with Home Alone. Oh my gosh. I think there's something very appealing to him at the age of 11 that's like, yeah, staying home alone without mom and dad and being able to use my toys to defend my house. I think there's something very appealing about that to him. I'm not sure whether to be proud or nervous. Maybe a little both. Maybe a little both. All right, I'm just carefully reading this out. Okay, so what else? Charlie Brown's Christmas. Love that one. Yes, that one's good. I love the Thanksgiving one too. That one's good.
Can't forget about the Great Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah, the Great Pumpkin Patch. That one's good. All right, I'm weeding out this little area here with the R, center of the R's. Okay, and the A. Yay. Okay, that wasn't too bad, right? All right, I'm going to pull this off and see what we got there. Good. And I'm going to go to this one. Flip the mat over, make it easier. There we go. Okay. Now that I have that, I want to be careful here because this is different from what I've done before. So you guys get to watch me either like fail or succeed in the moment. It'll be fun. Okay, so I'm going to think about, you don't want to put everyday iron-on over glitter, okay? It doesn't do well. So since this G has like a little bit of a swash coming down from it that's going to kind of bump with the T a bit, I'm going to put this one on first and then the glitter on top of it because that works in that order, but it doesn't work in the reverse. So it's not how I maybe originally intended it, but I want to make sure it actually sticks and that there's not like a problem with that. So let's start with this little guy right here. Now, he's pretty tiny. I wouldn't go any smaller than this. I would recommend bigger if you can, okay? I'm going to just get placement here and just kind of like make sure I cut it right. It is going to fit. It's a little on the wider side than the other one, but her name's longer. Like her name's longer than Ava's name. So that's going to happen. I could have scaled it a touch smaller, but it's still going to look super cute. And yeah, I want to make sure that that's that. Now the tricky part, this is the tricky part. You got to do what works for you. Okay. Ideally, I would be like, okay, well, where is this going to go? Right. Because we got to like center this up and we got to put this one down first. So ideally, I want to put this on at one time, but because of the way I have to put this on and the weirdness of the G, I actually might cut this apart because it'll be easier for me to line up 3 rows than to try and guess this first and then hope this looks okay when I go to add it later. Okay, so even though I would traditionally say do this and I cut it this way to show you guys like this is the best way if you can, I am going to cut this apart because I want to make sure I get it as straight as possible. And in this case, it requires me going off-road a bit. Okay, so I want to get this positioned a bit here. I think that's going to be a good spot. And I'm going to check it with this name. Make sure there's enough space. It's actually a little high. I would love to say that there is a super magic trick for this, but there isn't because every Stuffy is different. Every name and set of words is different. You've really just got to play with it to find your first placement. I think that will be good because I can clearly see there's enough space for 2029 to sit under there. So 2019, not 2029. I just jumped forward in time there. All right, so I'm pretty sure that will be okay right there. So I'm going to hold that placement after I decide kind of discern that for myself. And we're going to grab our Easy Press Mini here, okay? Now this part with Stuffies, it needs firm pressure, which means you're going to have to stuff your stuff, but kind of really give them a bit of a press there, okay? So I'm going to hold this, try not to shift. I've had this shift because of the curved surface and it's not as flat. I've had the iron-on vinyl shift sometimes. And so the words won't always look as straight as I would like. I would say this is an intermediate project, guys. Like it's easy once you like get comfortable doing it, but even I'm like holding my breath when I do this and I'm like, please go okay. So I'm holding this for about 25 seconds. You could have like your phone going with like a stopwatch. I'm just gonna like live on the edge and kind of feel out 25 seconds, which we're probably about to now. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here to the other side. And you kind of want to, again, press, press, press. Your Stuffy will reinflate, I promise. But you got to be firm with it because it needs like as much pressure to get that heat transfer vinyl really to want to like grab onto the surface because it's like a rounded puffy surface and that kind of stuff. So good pressure for sure. Try to be still as much as possible and not scoot it around like it's an iron. Okay, we're probably at about that 25-second mark. And so I'm going to let that go. I can see on this side, it's hard for you to see there, I know. But on this side, I can see one end's lifting a little. So I'm going to come back over here and kind of hold that for another 10 seconds or so. And the key here is you must let this completely cool or it will not stick. I promise you, it will not stick. So I'm going to let that completely cool for a second. Okay. All right. So let's talk more Christmas movies. What other Christmas movies do you guys like to watch? What Hallmark movies have you watched this year? Has there been a favorite? Tell me. And also Christmas songs. Like, what's your favorite Christmas song? I want to know. You have a favorite Christmas song, honey? You like Blue Christmas from Elvis, right? Yeah. You like that one? Which is like really kind of a like bittersweet sort of depressing song, but at the same time, everybody likes the musicality of it. So it's like, oh, it's a good Christmas song. Cheryl, do I need to press the Stuffy first before applying heat transfer vinyl? You can. I mean, yes, there is a point like that can help sort of like get the moisture out if there is. But as you can see, I did not do that. And I have made these before and not done that. So I would not say it's a hard and fast rule. I would say if you forget, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, it's not a hard and fast rule. It's a good best practice rule. it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make or break your project. For something like this, like I didn't do that the last couple times and it came out just fine. I'm trying to see how this is doing because it's almost cool, but not quite. This was the longest part when I tested this because it's actually like really needed to set up quite a bit more than I was expecting. And like this side is not sticking all the way. So if it's not sticking all the way, I found that like with these stuffies, you kind of have to heat it for longer than it says. Sometimes it's actually a longer time because of the surface that you're working on being so not flat and not stable. So this happened to me when I did this test the other day for the other one. It was, I think I had to go over it almost 3 times before it fully cooled. So I appreciate your patience, y'all. I wish there was a way to like, let me fast forward for you guys to the part where it's all coming off clean. I just can't. It also can be helpful sometimes to let like one side set up and cool. I'm looking at it from the side. That can be super helpful before you try to go to the other side, because what happens is when you push down on the other side, unless it's a bigger surface, it's actually almost lifting the other end of the liner, and it can like, unless it is cold, it's not ready to stick. So this is where you're going to have a love-hate relationship with making stuffies. I will absolutely tell you that if you get these little guys from Target, they were so much easier. I'm just letting you know that. Like they're available at local Targets. Go to like the kids section where like the blankets and the pillows are, and they're there. There's also snowmen and Christmas tree. I think there was maybe elves. So these were so much easier. I don't know why. Probably just the material difference, maybe a little more flat. I don't know. And then if the surface is bigger, like this guy, that is going to also help loads and loads. So I can see my F over here. It's kind of sitting up though. So I am going to press for one more time. Okay. So what holiday plans do you guys have? We end up hosting Christmas. This is our 4th year hosting now, I think. It's our 3rd or 4th. And I don't know why, we just kind of got picked as the Christmas place in the family. I think we did it once and everyone was like, well, you have the most space in your living room out of everybody. And my husband likes to cook. So they're all like, well, he cooks and we like his food. And so they're like, food, the most space, you're the Christmas house. Okay. So last year, what I did is I decided that if my family is going to make me host, which is always a big deal, and I do love it, I'm not complaining, but if my family is going to make me host, I am going to torture them with games. So I make them play Christmas games. Man, this is not sticking very well. This is what happened last time, and I never got it to work until I went over it 3 times. Okay, it's working on this side, so I obviously didn't press well enough on the other side. See, it's working on this side. You can see there. And you have to go really slow to make sure it's sticking because there's some movement to the stuffy. So it can be deceptive. It's like, is it sticking? Is it not sticking? I'm also going to tell on myself by letting you know that the green I am using here is like 3 years old. So it is highly possible that I am working with vinyl that is not going to work very well because it's expired. And so I'm probably having to do a little extra legwork because I did not go out and get the vinyl fresh, and it's been just hanging out in my dream box for the last like 3.5 years. It's going okay. We're getting it here. It's just taking an extra beat, but vinyl does expire, in case you didn't know that. You can still always use it. I'm not saying you can't use it. It's just, it's going to work a little better for you. It's going to be a little nicer to you. No. It's wrinkling. Go back. Don't wrinkle. Okay. The F is almost done. It's like, it's just mad at me. It's really mad at me. Give me one more second, guys. We're almost there. The glitter one won't be as hard because that's not expired. I don't think. I don't think it is. I don't think so. Okay, so while I'm giving this just one more second to be its mean self, okay? I want to talk to you guys for a second. We'll take a quick detour. Like, what happens if you need to get the vinyl off? Okay, so I have found that you can reheat it and carefully peel it off. I'm going to do this here in a second just for fun. And I'm going to tell you that I have not ever done this with metallic iron-on that I did here where I put this little test on the bottom. So it works well with everyday iron-on. I haven't tried it with metallic, so I have no idea if this is going to work or not, and if it varies by type of vinyl. But we are going to play with fire and see what happens. Because sometimes we get it wrong, right? And we're like, oh, I need to fix that letter or something. So this is like, okay, will this work? If I reheat it, can I pick it off? Can I manage that? I'm not putting anything on it. I'm literally just setting it right on top and just getting it warm. You could absolutely cover it with a liner if you're concerned about something sticking to this. That probably would be the wise thing to do, but like I said, I'm living on the edge right now. So I'm warming that up and I want to see what happens. Again, I don't know if this will work or not. I'm guessing it probably won't because I'm doing it live, because why would anything work when you're live? Okay, so the metallic is not coming off very well. It's coming off a little, but I can tell if I pick at it too much, it's probably going to damage it. So everyday iron-on will come off a lot easier than that. This was a metallic one that I'm playing with, and it did not. So that was an experiment for you guys. I'm not going to mess with it too much because I don't want to damage it. But if you're using everyday iron-on, you reheat it, you can usually get it off with a weeding tool. Very carefully, very carefully. Okay. All right, so there we go. That finally stuck. Don't use expired vinyl. Don't follow my bad example. There's that part. Okay, that's all good to go. And I'm gonna do the name. Get that out of the way. Now, this is like layering, right? So when we put something like this on, we have to protect what is already there. If we don't, it's gonna ruin it. It's gonna, melt it. So we have to protect it. So first, get it lined up. This over just a bit. Again, there's no real magic here, guys. It's just kind of feeling it out. It really, for some things, is just practice. But you don't have to practice alone. Okay, so that is where I want that placement for this. Now, this is almost completely covered, but this is exposed. The vinyl that I did in green is exposed. So you can take the existing liner you just used and just recover any exposed area. Okay, just like that. And that way it won't melt. So save that liner. All right, we're going in. And we're pressing. I think this one will work better because I don't think this vinyl was expired. I wanted it to be red and green. I had a gold that wasn't expired. I was like, it has to be red and green. It has to match. And so we made it work. Okay. Christmas with the Cranks. I love that movie. It's always the ridiculous ones that get horrible ratings, right? And you're just like, they're the funniest to watch and rewatch and watch and rewatch. You're like, did anybody here see Wicked yet in the theaters? We saw it last weekend. Totally jumping subjects there, but on the same vein of movies. I thought that was really good. I had never read the story, so I'm not, super well socialized apparently. Everybody else has read the story or has seen the play. I have not. Obviously, I've seen The Wizard of Oz, but I really loved the story. I thought the sets and the costumes were really beautiful. Okay, so probably that one. I can see it sticking there. The side of my S is not sticking because it is curving on me. As you can see, bigger would be better and would be much easier. I went the hardest route possible for you guys so you could see what I would do if you want to go the hardest route possible too. Yeah, okay. All right, and tomorrow we have, let's see, what time is the live tomorrow, babe?
12:30.
12:30? So tomorrow we have our 4th live. I'm going over to this side now. Tomorrow we have our 4th live. That one is going to be on the custom journal covers, where we're going to do a pretty vinyl on a plain journal to customize it, personalize it with someone's name. Got to give it lots of firm pressure. Be careful not to move it around at this point, because if you move too much, you could also move the letters that you're reheating next to it. Okay, so just be careful with that. I did make that mistake before in one of my tests. So yeah, we're gonna make the journals tomorrow, and then on Saturday we're gonna do the pillows with the pictures. I think that's gonna be the highlight. I put it on Saturday because I wanted to make sure as many people as possible could make it for that one. And I know Saturdays are so much easier to make than these afternoons. So I put it on that day. And then I'll send all of these tutorials to everybody else so they can catch them. And I want to see your photos, guys. So make sure you post them in our community, Facebook group, or send an email. Okay, we're almost there. The apostrophe's mad at me. So as you can see, this is a lot longer than 25 seconds. And this is really just like the nature of the beast here. Thank you guys for being patient, though. We'll have a result soon. It's the curve. I probably should have made this a tiny bit smaller. Honestly, in hindsight, I think that could have saved some of this problem. I was just so nervous about it tearing. And like, not too small, not too small. Okay, so we're going to let this fully cool, and then we're just going to add one more. All right, so will you be joining me for the journals tomorrow? I hope so. I hope so. And the pillows. Who's looking forward to the pillows? This is another reason I love this. He's like, use a little tip, like that little spot's being stubborn. Okay.
There's a question about the pillowcase.
Oh, yeah. Does the size of the pillowcase matter? I got a Cricut and it's 17.5 inches, not 12. Yeah, so that's a great question. So I did, can you grab the pillow that's over there? I think it's in there. Is it in that?
Mm-mm.
It's not in there?
Mm-mm.
Hang on. I'm still here. It's right here.
Oh.
1 moment, please. Okay, so we'll let that finish cooling for a minute and do its thing. So this is a 12-inch pillow. And as you can see, I made it edge to edge, right? Okay. You do not have to do it edge to edge. Like if you go to the member vault, you go to the craft vault, for 8 stars, you'll see another version of it where it's actually inset. So like there's white pillow around, like white pillowcase around it, and then it's like framed out. Okay, that's what I'm actually going to do on Saturday to show a contrast. So if you have a larger pillowcase, like I'm going to be using a larger one than this. You'll see the comparison and the contrast of that. You can do either. Okay, using a bigger one is going to be easier. I will tell you that, because then you don't have to worry about like lining the edges up quite as much. Okay, let's see if this guy is going to be nice or not. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to take off this little piece first, the extra one. Go slow. Go slow. Okay. The apostrophe going to stick? It is. All right, so if you're going with a smaller surface, you might need to kind of like do what I just did and have a little more patience towards it. Just saying. Okay, what did I do with the date?
Stuck to the back of the head.
It is? Look at that. Look. It's like, where did my year go? Like, if I can't find it, I'll probably find it on the dog later. Yay, yes, it worked. It worked. This little guy is just so small. When I ordered these, I thought I was getting the larger versions, and I was a very bad person and did not read the description. So I'm going to put this back over, this extra liner back over, just to protect that area. Oops. Okay. Feel like that's pretty well centered. May or may not be perfect. It's okay. We're going to do it anyway. All right. So we're going to give this one firm pressure. And because this one isn't curling around the belly as much, I'm hoping it'll be a one press and a done thing once it cools. It should. And yeah, like I said, those other little reindeer guys from Target, they were so much easier. But this is a tinier space to work in. So that makes sense. All right, I'm going to let that cool. We're going to be almost done. And here is the first one again and how that looks. I think it turned out so cute. I think it would be really cute if you got like a little bag of candy or treats or something and had it like little treats sitting in their hand or something like that. That would be super fun. Great for like a stocking stuffer too. I really like that. Okay, let's see. Is it going to be nice to me or is it going to be mad at me? It's probably not cool all the way yet. Oh, it's kind of sticking. There we go. See, that's how it's supposed to work a little more fast. A little more fast like that. There we go. Yay! Okay, there you go. I'm kind of just fluffing out that area where like the heat marks were. It's still cooling. Ta-da! So cute. Is anybody else, when they get done with this, are like, I'm sure there's a typo in there, and you're like, where's the typo? I made a mistake, right? Right? I made a mistake. I don't think I made one. I don't think I did. Okay. How cute is that, you guys? What do you think? I want to see yours. So if you make them, please, please, please share with me. I really want to see. These are adorable. Okay, if you need something else that's equally as adorable, by the way, make sure you go back to, bring you up here. Hello. Make sure you go back to the craft vault and type in the keyword candy holders, okay? We have a snowman, a Santa Claus, elves, a reindeer, and I'm forgetting one, a penguin. They're like our most popular A-star item right now. And you can put candy or small little like toys in them. So much fun. Go check those out. If you haven't visited the Christmas section yet, go visit it because there's lots of other things you can make in there to pair with gifts like this. So much fun. Let me check to make sure we don't have any other questions. Joyce says, I just read a quote that says, the beauty of handmade lies in its imperfection. That's an amazing quote. I haven't heard that one before, and I agree. It does lie in imperfection. You have to embrace that imperfection to find perfection eventually. It's that journey and process that leads us to our own special version of perfection. And everybody's perfection looks different. I feel like it's very subjective, right? So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Joyce. Okay, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be back again tomorrow for our A-stars. I'll send out some replays once we get through all of this because we've got lots of other members who are just busy bees at work right now. But these are adorable. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. We'll be doing the journal tomorrow. Let me show you real quick, just in case you need a recap. So we're going to be doing these journals tomorrow. And we'll go over kind of similar stuff we did today, but we'll go over the process of applying it to like the front of a journal and all of that good stuff. And then Saturday will be those pillows. Okay, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me today. And we've got to dash because we've got to go pick our kids up. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye.